AskReddit by Spicy Moose Juice. What's worse than being ugly? Don't really know, but I'm sure I've got it covered. You could be stupid and ugly. I once heard some dude say, nobody should be allowed to be an asshole, ugly and poor. Pick two, at most. Well, sometimes you don't get to pick one of those, you're born that way. And then sometimes you're just ugly. Throat cancer. Enjoy every sandwich. Warren Zevon, as he was dying of throat cancer. Smelly. I worked with someone who suffered from this. https://my.clevelandclinic.org/health/diseases/22356-trimethylaminoria-fish-odor- It was bad and hard to be around her. I felt bad for her. Last I knew, she was still trying to find ways to make it not so bad. Being dumb and ugly. Ask me how I know. I think ugly and being an asshole is worse. Being poor and ugly with a lack of social skills. Aka the formula to die single. UHH. High five. Being terminally ill. Terminal cancer patient here. Can confirm I would rather be but ugly and healthy than chronically ill or disabled. I think. The healthy man wishes for 1,000 things, the sick man only wishes for one. Paralyzed. I got a glimpse of what being paralyzed is like a couple of years ago after a bad back injury. Luckily I've almost completely recovered. I still have some pain, but I'm mostly fine these days. I'm 27, so it takes a little bit more to bring me down than someone older. The experience taught me two main things. 1. Healthcare in the US is an absolute disaster that will torpedo your life if your serious injury illness doesn't, unless you're a millionaire. Most people have no control over this. 2. If you want to go travel someday, you should really do it sooner than later. Fuck money. Obviously you need money, but why give yourself to it entirely for a future that is far from promised to you? Feeling ugly. Edit. Hey, thanks. Hopefully you don't feel ugly, but know that I understand. Man, this is literally me. I don't know if this is the best way to explain it, but people tell me that I look handsome and whatever, but I've never had anyone show me that they think that. Maybe I'm just being pathetic, but that definitely makes me feel pretty ugly. Being a shitty person. I had a crush on this person for years, until I found out how they view and treat animals. Being shitty to pets has got to be in the top 5 list of shitty personalities. Feeling hated by the person you love most. Edit. Just want to say thank you to everyone that's reached out to me via chat messages and AMP, left comments on ways to cope. I truly appreciate it all, and AMP, I will look into ways to help myself. Wow. Few comments hit me as stringly as this one. I wish you the best, OP. Defending the existence of blinding headlights. I hate these bright headlights. There's this one road on my way home that's really curvy and doesn't have street lights, and I sometimes can't even see where the road curves because the car coming the other way around the curve has their brights on. It's stupidly dangerous. Reading up comments. I'm go with being like OP. Holy shit, OP is a massive jackass. Being uncontrollably stupid, but smart enough to realize it in retrospect. Sadly I'm both. Having a chronic disease. Losing the love of your life, then realizing you will never find anyone capable of replacing them, and you shall remain alone for the rest of your life. My fiancé died about 10 years ago. I'm not alone, but for sure that kind of love is not replaceable. Being ugly and damp. Poor. Being poor. Being conventionally or more than conventionally attractive is quite the superpower. Good looks are a great advantage regardless of your financial status. Being ugly inside. Actually, that's just worse for other people. For the ugly on the inside person, subjectively it doesn't matter cause they are consciously being an asshole, and if they didn't wanna be one they wouldn't be. Giving up on yourself. I was commenting with a guy on here that just accepted that he was a pathetic incel, and accepting that is a self-fulfilling prophecy that only leads to misery. Add on only seeing evidence that supports your existing beliefs. I've come across a couple PPL on Reddit that were convinced they were right and twisted everything anyone said to support their belief. And the saddest part was that if they could have just listened and modified some of their behaviors, they could have changed their fates. Like you said, self-fulfilling prophecies. The significant loss of hearing from a young age. As I get older, the more I conclude that communication is the single most important human ability, and that being hard of hearing stunts people from living their best lives. Lacking the ability to communicate effectively can often be seen as having zero personality or being incredibly shy. Socially, it's harder to make friends. It's harder to learn as significant learning is done vocally and most schools are underfunded. Forget going to clubs or loud events like concerts and no one wants to date a deaf bloke. Government and its institutions have no sympathy for us. Employers see us as burdens, and for the average person, it's not easy to identify that an individual can't hear. I've had individuals grab me, accusing me of being rude when I don't listen to them when I don't hear them, but they don't care. Since the pandemic, culture has shifted to remote working, remote learning, and telecommunication being pushed, which will generally make life harder for hard of hearing individuals. However, society values the needs of the many above those of the few. Being pretty and embracing it as your entire personality. My parents made it clear it was all I had going for me. Now I don't embrace it at all. Having a bad personality. People's personalities seem to radiate through their skin for me. Amazing people that I didn't immediately find attractive suddenly seem more beautiful, and objectively attractive people with awful personalities appear ugly. I'm sure I'm not the only one. That's one of the earliest lessons I remember from my mother. She said, think of your obnoxious aunt. We always think about how overweight and bossy she is. Now compare it to our neighbor lady who is around the same weight but is super kind. You never think about how she struggles with her weight. Everyone has flaws, but if you are kind to people, those flaws are not noticed nearly as much. Being hateful. That's what has led us to this shitty world we've been living in for the last couple of years. Being socially unaware, awkward. Being ugly, poor, ill, dumb and socially awkward for the win. Being ugly and conceited. Having bowel issues. Miss me with that butt stuff. Being stupid. Being an asshole.